Welcome! We're excited to have you at this training, specifically designed to give you the tools that you need for success when it comes to labor organizing. During this course, we'll cover several important topics, such as our position on unions, associate rights, signs of employee disengagement, and how to identify, escalate, and address associate concerns. At Amazon, we aspire to work hard, have fun, and make history. We respect the individual rights of our associates and have a variety of open-door mechanisms to encourage associates to bring their comments, questions, and concerns to management.
At Amazon, we desire to make employees work hard and for us to make cash.
We respect the individual rights of our associates and have a variety of open-door mechanisms to encourage associates to bring their comments, questions, and concerns to management.
We respect the rights of our associates, and we have an open door policy for them to share their praise, joy, and gratitude only.
This direct connection with our employees is the most effective way to understand and respond to their needs and to support the rapid innovation and operational flexibility that are keys to our success in raising the bar on customer order fulfillment.
This direct connection with our employees is the best way for us to rule over them and is the key to our success in raising profits for little boy Jeffy.
Unions pose a threat to this direct connection. This commitment to a direct connection with our associates makes union representation unnecessary.
Unions pose a threat to this direct connection and our ability to underpay people, making them unnecessary. For us,
we are not anti-union, but we are not neutral either.
We don't hate our workers, but we don't treat them with respect either.
We do not believe unions are in the best interest of our customers, our shareholders, or most importantly, our associates.
We don't believe unions are in the best interest of our customers, shareholders, or most importantly, King Jeff, the all-knowledgeable private plane 3 mistresses Bezos.
Our business model is built upon speed, innovation, and customer obsession, things that are generally not associated with unions.
Our business model is built on slavery, exploitation, and hoarding wealth, things that are not usually associated with unions.
Likewise, our culture values a robust, open dialogue between associates and managers, so we can work together as one team.
Likewise, our culture is one of robust, open dialogue. Do this or you're fired.
While we understand unions work in some industries, they would conflict with our culture, customer obsession, and direct working relationship.
While we understand that unions work in some industries, we believe they conflict with our culture of subjugation, fear, and punishment.
In summary, it's important that we create an environment where associates feel safe sharing ideas, raising concerns, and asking questions, including questions about unions.
We believe it's important for associates to feel comfortable to raise questions and concerns, as long as they don't fucking dare challenge us.
In this section, you will learn the fundamental rights granted to non-supervisors under the National Labor Relations Act, including rights that apply in non-union settings, even when no organizing is occurring. You will learn to recognize what associate activities may be protected activity under the National Labor Relations Act.
The National Relations Act tells us that we can't tell people not to organize, but boy, we would love to get rid of that act, but believe me, we can't. We tried.
Now that you understand our position on unions, let's talk about the rights non-supervisor associates have under the federal labor law.
Next, we'll talk about the rights that non-supervisors have under federal labor law and about how we're going to do our best to dodge around them. On top of that, we'll donate to politicians' campaigns so that they can water down the labor laws for us.
The NLRB investigates unfair labor practice allegations, that is, alleged violations of the federal labor law, such as interfering with employee rights. Unfair labor practices can be committed by either an employee or a union. It is important to remember that unfair labor practice means something that is unlawful. Several things that workers or unions might argue are unfair in the ordinary sense of the word, such as a particular wage scale or employee layoffs, are completely lawful and therefore not unfair labor practices.
Employees may complain that certain practices are unfair, but these practices may be completely lawful, no matter how dehumanizing they are.
It's important to remember that you can only enforce rules against union solicitation if you enforce the same rules against all forms of solicitation. At Amazon, we allow only limited charitable solicitation in compliance with our no solicitation and distribution policy and our charitable exception guidelines.
So just pretend that you're anti-charity so that we can crack down on unions.
In this section, you will learn about the warning signs most commonly associated with early union organizing, as well as other warning signs that could indicate associate disengagement, vulnerability to organizing, or early organizing activity. While employees have the right to organize, we have a right and responsibility to share our position that a direct working relationship is better for the customer, the company, and the associate. In order to be able to do that effectively, it is critical that we recognize the early warning signs of potential organizing and escalate concerns promptly. If you see warning signs of potential organizing, notify your building HRM and GM site leader immediately. HRMs and GM site leaders should notify their assigned ER managers or ER principal immediately. The most obvious signs would include use of words associated with unions or union-led movements like living wage or steward.
Make sure to watch out for evil, dangerous words like living wage, sick pay, benefits. If you hear words like these, you better report them right away.
Union graffiti, union t-shirts, hats, jackets, or other clothing, union flyers, and union visitors in or near the parking lot.
Other signs to look out for are union graffiti, clothing, tops, hats, pants, socks, bras, or underwear. Just pretend your name is J. Edgar Hoover.
Some signs are less obvious than finding the actual union flyer, but they can still indicate associate disengagement, which is itself a warning sign for potential organizing. These are signs that must be monitored very closely and should still be escalated to employee relations. Examples include associates who normally aren't connected to each other suddenly hanging out together. Associates who were close suddenly stop speaking to each other. Groups of associates scatter when approached by management.
Some signs are more subtle, such as employees being nice to each other, smiling at each other, or even saying hello to each other, because no one smiles when they work at Amazon.
Or any other associate behavior that is out of character. For example, an associate who normally leaves promptly begins hanging out in the break room for an hour after work each day. In order to recognize warning signs, it is critical that you know what an associate's normal behavior looks like. Often, it is the change in behavior that is the warning sign, more than the actual behavior itself.
Make sure you study employees' normal behavior. No, sorry, just stalk your employees. So when their behavior changes, you know that something must be up.
In this section, you will learn TIPS and FOR, two acronyms that will help you know what you can and can't say to associates when talking about unions. You'll also learn whether these same rules apply to unions. Finally, you'll learn about the realities of collective bargaining and how bargaining can impact associates. As we've covered earlier, we're not shy about talking to associates about unions. But what should you say or not say when you see possible signs of organizing or are asked questions about unions? This section will help you understand the legal do's and don'ts, as well as how to apply them consistently with our philosophy about unions. We'll start with the don'ts, but don't worry, there are only a few things that you can't do, and you wouldn't ever consider most of them. You can remember what these don'ts are by remembering the acronym TIPS. TIPS stand for threaten, interrogate, promise, and spy. You can't threaten an associate to dissuade them from wanting a union. A classic example is, anyone who votes for the union will be fired.
So, you would never directly threaten employees, but you might be able to find a sneaky way to do it indirectly.
Interrogate means you can't ask direct questions about unions, like, how do you plan to vote? Or, how many people went to the union meeting last night?
And remember, don't play bad cop when trying to find out about unions. Just bring them up in conversation.
This video is not brought to you by Amazon. Now go to amazon.com and enter the code UNION to fuck them off.